live? Okay, well, welcome to the 30 June Water Management Committee meeting. 2 o'clock, call to order. Let's see, are there any committee or public comments before we get into the agenda? Seeing and hearing none. Item number 3, IWVWD, Ms. Director Rotora.
Okay. In terms of GA activity, the last GA meeting was June 8th, and the next meeting will be July 13th, which is 2 days after our board meeting. The annual report release process was not discussed at the last GA meeting. As promised or assumed, you remember the Water District is pushing to get that to be a board released item. And I'm hoping that we're going to actually have it on the next agenda. That's not clear yet. Apparently there is some concern for some GA members or staff that it's a conflict of interest. I have no idea how that happened, but in any event, that's still ongoing. Next topic, I'm going to continue to encourage the use of planning tools. We've got 3 major projects in the work, and we have no plans at all for any of them. I mean, obviously, we're assuming they're going to be done, but there's no schedule, no budget, etc. The PAC has also chimed in addition to the Water District, advocating for additional planning and budgeting. So far, no results. On a positive note, Capital Core Group does appear to be still making progress toward obtaining grant money for the Ridgecrest wastewater treatment plant. In terms of financial activity, the audit report was given for fiscal 2020, and it was, by the way, a clean report, which is a positive news. However, the auditor did suggest a number of corrective actions for the GA's financial process. As general manager indicated, all suggested corrective actions have been done. I suggested that we get started on the 2021 audit immediately or as soon as possible. And the general manager responded saying that we would have that item on the agenda for this coming meeting. So that's all positive as well. Project activities and concerns, nothing has changed there. My primary concern is still the fact that we cannot measure the change to groundwater and storage. Everything sort of starts there. If we can't do that, there's a lot of other problems that we create. We're 3 years behind where we should be. I'm just going to continue to watch that and make sure that it doesn't slip through the crack. Very little was presented at the June 8th meeting regarding recent technical progress, but as a side note, I should point out that the RFP for the imported water pipeline, at least the alignment portion, a small part to start with, went out on May 23rd. Proposals were due on June 27th, which has already passed. So that should be a topic for the next meeting as well. And hopefully they are already reviewing those proposals. I don't know. Don, do you have any idea if that's going on or not?
No, I was not. There was a staff call yesterday afternoon, and I wasn't on it. I had a Inyo-Mono IRWIMP meeting in the afternoon. So I'm not aware if they discussed that or not. I don't think they did, but I talked to Jim a little bit this morning. He didn't mention it.
Well, I understand it was an abbreviated meeting yesterday and that they didn't actually talk about everything that was going to be on their agenda. So, well, we'll find out, I guess, when the next GA meeting comes about. And then another footnote, Stetson did indicate that Section 5 of the Recycled Water Report was released to the technical team on June 6th, and that he expects Steve Johnson from Stetson expects a draft technical memo planned for late 2022. And that concludes my report. if there are any questions, I'd be glad to entertain questions or comments, either one.
The only thing I would add, with respect to your first item about the annual report being on the agenda, I know it was on the draft agenda that was for discussion yesterday during the staff report. And my understanding is that Jim Worth has a call with Keith Lemieux tomorrow to discuss that. So that's it. I don't know how it's going to end up, but it's to be discussed tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Did Capital Corps give an update on their efforts to identify water sources?
There is ongoing discussion with, regarding imported water, and it's all kind of fuzzy at this point in time, and there's nothing that is, I guess, public information at this point in time. There's a lot of things you just can't talk about until it's done, and that's one of those things. But it's not dropped through the cracks, it's still ongoing.
Okay, thank you. Comments from the public? Nothing? Surprise, surprise. Okay, on to item number 4, the brackish water study.
Brackish Water Study, the Brackish Water Group still has not met formally since January 27th. Excuse me. Pardon me. Tim Parker has a call with Wade Major tomorrow, during which he'll be sharing the results from the Ramble analysis that combines the SkyTem data with the reprocessed seismic data, as well as borehole log data, in a more detailed interpretation of the basin geology. The intent would be to utilize these results to focus on the northern agricultural area, to see if there's something else to look at in that area that may also allow a project to move forward. As I previously reported, currently the project would be considered infeasible due to the cost of treating the high TDS and boron content water at depth. If another target area or zone can be identified, that may change things from infeasible to a potentially feasible project in the future. So after review of the data, the focus will be on finishing the draft analysis and getting the report ready to submit for review, and the completion date for the project remains at March 30th, 2023. And I know Tim, I believe, is on the line if he has anything he wants to contribute. Now's the time.
No, I think that's pretty much it in terms of that. Thanks, Don.
Okay.
We are in progress on that work. So.
Okay, if there's no questions on that, next one. Alternate water sources?
Yeah, the alternate water sources, item 5, please.
Okay, I'll give a little introduction of what I know, and then I know Tim is prepared to provide some information as well. So again, just as a review, at the January 19th board workshop, the board approved up to $200,000 to obtain and reprocess additional remote sensing seismic data collected during the during the 1980s within the El Paso subbasin area, and to update the hydrological conceptual framework. The total so far to date is $173,223.30, which again is below the budgetary figure of $200,000. So again, we've acquired 59 miles of the 1982 seismic data, as well as 40 miles of the 1988 seismic data. John Jansen with Collier Geophysical was able to negotiate with SCI, who's the seismic line wholesaler, to give us 3 more miles on the east end of one of the lines at no additional charge, due to the fact that they mislocated the line on their original map. The new mileage extends mapping across the 9201 line to the eastern side of the El Paso Basin, or close to it. So at this point, John's completed the attribute analysis and has delineated the sand and clay bodies using the same parameter as the previous work he's done. He expects to get the percentage of net sand calculations completed soon. He and Tim Parker are discussing the timing on completing his report and whether Tim would like an interim report now or wait until we get the new miles incorporated. So at this point, Tim, you've got anything to add? I'm sure you probably do. Go ahead.
Yeah, and that work is progressing nicely. It was unfortunate about the seismic line, and that's part of the, I guess the that's part of the challenge of working with some of the older data, but it's all working out nicely, and it's really helping fill in the data gaps over there on the overall basin geometry, and we'll get more information on the stratigraphy. And it's really looking very, in many ways, similar to the China Lake area of the Indian Wells Valley Basin. When I say China Lake, of course, I mean the whole lobe, including Ridgecrest, et cetera, and Brown Road. So that's going along nicely. We're also along that work. We're close to actually done on the China Lake area. Everything's set up. We need to start plugging in some aquifer parameters, and we're spending a fair amount of time looking at E-logs, lithology logs, and kind of categorizing things as coarse, mixed, and then fine in order to do some calculations on to come up with the effective and total storage in the basin. So I'm going to be really happy to see the work done. I've got some stuff we can show maybe in the next meeting that shows the kind of reconfigured area, at least for China Lake. And once we get that seismic line, it's going to really help us over on the north end, the northeast opening of the El Paso area where it joins with the China Lake area, where we've seen, based on the seismic work, the other thing that was done was reprocessing 9201, which goes across that elevated area when you drop into the Ridgecrest area, and the interpretation there is that there's actually a raised area of bedrock that is, trying to remember the depth now, it's around 2,500 feet deep there. And so that's kind of what's driving, I think, the contours there, where the water's being constricted and then it's flowing down. And it's actually, with this extension of the line we don't have yet, it may help us get another point on that elevated ridge, which has been described by John Jansen as perhaps a horst type of geologic feature. So it's kind of a ridge that's fault bounded on at least one side. And if we can get another point, then we can actually calculate the area of sediments there and come up with a range of flux and discharge that could be coming through that area from El Paso area. So that's pretty exciting to be able to do that. Sorry for being excited about this, but anyway, it's a unique piece. But I think we'll probably have the China Lake moved along pretty well within the next week, and then I think it's probably going to be most cost effective just to wait and get John to do everything, and then have our Ramble team finish it up when everything's in place, so we don't have to go back and do things over or readjust things. So that's, I think, pretty much where we are.
Thanks for that, Tim. What's the depth to bedrock south of that ridge?
It's let's see, it's probably another 500 or 1,000 feet deeper, and then it gradually slopes down as you're moving south. I think the depth is as much as 6,000 or 7,000 feet. Okay. So, yeah, and it's mostly over on the west. So it's similar where you're along the Sierra Nevada. You get that sort of a half graben effect.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Well, thank you. Questions, Director?
Jim's excited.
Hey, that's
good.
we should be excited if Tim's excited. Awesome. Thanks for the report, Tim.
You bet. Thank you.
And you can stick around for the public health goals report if you want, item number 6.
Is there something notable about that?
Minor technical difficulties. Got it?
Reset this one? Wait, this one's, oh, hello, that one's working now. Goodness, I don't need to be that loud, right? Okay. Excuse me as I put my old lady glasses on here. Okay, so what's in front of you is the Public Health Goals Report that we are required to present to the board every 3 years. This is a non-enforceable thing. We're not required to meet any of these goals, but we are required to report on them every 3 years. So these are constituents that exceed public health goals or maximum contaminant level goals between 2019 and 2021. So the guidelines I used, and I have the last few times that I've done this, are put out by Aqua. There are no guidelines from the state to do these reports. So Aqua's working group puts together a guideline for doing these reports, which is very helpful. So we are supposed to list goals that are that we find in those 3 years. And in most cases, many cases, those public health goals are set below detection limits that can be detected in a laboratory. So just to keep that in mind. It's not always feasible by analytical means to achieve these public health goals. So the 2 constituents that are mentioned in this report are fluoride and arsenic. And fluoride is an interesting one because, as you know, many water systems add fluoride to their water to what's considered an optimal level, which is 1 part per million. In the Indian Wells Valley, our optimum level is considered 0.8, with a range of 0.7 to 1.3. We have a naturally occurring level of 0.7, so we are not required to add any fluoride to our water. But the public health goal and maximum contaminant level goal is 1. And we do have 2 wells that produce naturally fluoride above 1, and that's well 9A and well 10 at 1.3 and 1.1 parts per million. Now, both of these wells, as you know, are treated for arsenic. And they're 2 of several wells in the A zone. And so when they are treated and they are used, they're blended with water from other wells in that zone. So blending is considered a method for reducing fluoride in water. So at this time, we didn't put any kind of other treatment technology in here that we would use to reduce the level. So those wells are always blended with other wells from the A zone. Arsenic, we're all familiar with arsenic. The MCL, the maximum contaminant level for arsenic, is 10. So of course, we do have some wells that are above the maximum contaminant level, and we treat those wells. Most of the time, they're treated below the detection limit in the laboratory, which is 2 parts per billion.
The California level is lower than most states, or Is that a
No,
federal?
it's the same as the federal level.
Okay.
Yeah. So the public health goal and the maximum contaminant goal for arsenic is 4 parts per trillion. Trillion. So obviously, all of our wells have arsenic above that level. The maximum level in the last 3 years that was detected was from well 17. It was 8.5 parts per billion, which of course is below the maximum contaminant level, but above the public health goal. So no, we don't serve water above the maximum contaminant level of 10, and we haven't since August of 2011. So that public health goal of 4 parts per trillion is based on a level that will result in not more than 1 excess cancer case in 1 million people who drink 2 liters of our water for 70 years, every day. That's the kind of calculations that they do to set these goals, so. Right. So, we're familiar with the cost of treating wells for arsenic. Now, there's a highlighted section in there, just so you know, I need to update that number when Ty gets back from vacation. So I'll update that for the board packet, next week. So, there's no recommendation for action in this report. It's just for your information and for the public, for the board to review. Well, last time what we did, we sent it to the board and gave the public 30 days to, produce any comments, write any comments, come to the board meeting in August and give us any comments, and then the board adopts it in August. And we file it away. I do put it on our website, but we're not required to send it to the state.
Remind me, does it require a resolution or is it just receive and file?
I
think just
believe it's a
receive
receive and
I
file.
think just receive and file, yeah.
Yeah, but Lauren's going to check back. I know it went to the board in July of 2019 and then August of 2019. So, and it was like a public comment period. So,
If the numbers were a lot worse, where we were above the guidelines and things, we'd be encouraged to take remedial actions to
yes.
fix that. Does the
Yes.
state then engage in enforcing? You mentioned this is not enforceable, so I'm a little confused on
Yeah, this is not enforceable, nor are these numbers even considered when setting maximum contaminant levels, because when you set a maximum contaminant level, you have to consider whether it's feasible, whether there are technologies available to reduce a constituent down to that level. And so the EPA and the state have to consider that and the cost to the system, the water system, to reduce a constituent to that level. So public health goals or max contaminant level goals are many times set at 0. And you can't even measure whether constituent it is at a 0 level in the water, so, yeah.
And I'm assuming nobody else can either.
No,
I mean, there's no laboratory that,
right. Laboratories only have certain technology available to them.
Good. I would like to be sure that I'm clear on one thing. The state requires us to put the report together, but they don't require us to send it to them.
No, we are required to let them know that we have presented the report to the board and when we did it, and that's it.
Oh, okay, that sounds like a
Yeah.
useful thing.
One of those rare instances where
Yeah.
Right.
May I ask, now that we've got well 35 online, will that?
33? Are you talking about 33 that was down the last year?
No, I think he means the new well.
The new well, 35, or
No,
the,
the new one, that
Okay,
is,
okay.
we've got more capacity out in a different area that presumably has slightly better water quality. Is that going to change our strategy for pumping so that we don't have to use the arsenic plants as much? And is that going to result in any savings?
no, I don't
If
think
so.
so, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Renee, but there's only so much you can produce from that southwest field that the system can handle. So it's not like you can put all the wells into that line and shut down the arsenic plants. There's only so much you can run through the system
Yeah.
in that zone.
And that's one of the things that's pointed out in
The general
our
plan.
general plan,
Yeah.
needing to upgrade,
that-
make bigger
oh.
pipelines.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, now some of the stuff that I heard makes more sense. Is
Yeah.
that there really is a restriction there in terms
Yes.
of how much water we can pump. from the B zone down into the A zone.
You can't put 18, 33, 34, and 35 all at the same time. It just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, and we have to have, so unless we have a significant reduction in water usage, we're gonna have to keep those 4 wells going for a while anyway. That is the
It-
arsenic.
I'd say at least 2 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this summer we are having 2 offline. One plant is offline.
Okay, so
for-
only 2 of them are online at a time, but,
Yeah. So,
okay, I understand that. Okay, fine, thank you.
So a piece of what Stan just said, that the well quality on the southwest field, we were generally recognized as being better quality than the intermediate zone, and
depends what you're talking about in quality. If you're talking about arsenic, yes, it's lower in arsenic, but then again, wells 30 and 31 are also lower in arsenic than the ones in town, and they're
okay.
out there off Unicorn Road. Our highest one naturally is, without being treated, is well 17, which is about 8 or 9, so.
Okay, I don't see the well numbers in this report, is that just,
They're in there.
are they? Okay, I just did a quick scan, I didn't see them, so, okay. So we do this for all the wells, and then this report has that data.
Yeah, I look at all the data from that 3-year range from all the wells. And it's the water that's pumped into the distribution system. So for those wells that are treated for arsenic, it's the treated water quality, not the raw water quality.
Okay. Awesome.
Bottom line is the water's good, and if any of the newspapers are listening, the bottom line is we're good to go.
Yes, we're good.
Okay.
And that was mentioned in our water quality report that we put on. All the customers, if they didn't receive it, that's available to them. It's on our website and electronically available, so.
Yes.
Yeah, our water is good. Meets or exceeds all requirements.
Yeah. That annual report that we put out, the Consumer Confidence Report or Water Quality Report, lists constituents that are found in the water. So if there's something you're interested in and it's not on that report, it's because it wasn't found, wasn't detected, so.
How do we compare to other districts like ours?
Compare in what way?
Well, since they don't report these things, so we
Yeah.
don't really know, do we?
We don't.
Yeah, okay.
As you know, groundwater varies everywhere, and any hole you punch in the ground is gonna be different.
Locally, all I remember is I think 2 years ago, Randsburg received an award for the best quality water among small water
Tasting,
districts. Remember
best
that?
tasting.
Yes, I remember that,
Yes.
yes.
Best tasting water.
Well, best quality or the best tasting?
Best tasting it was.
Best tasting.
Yeah.
Yeah, which could mean a lot of stuff, actually.
Yeah.
It was a taste test.
I can't see through it, but boy, is it good. Sorry for that. Okay, well, thank you, Renee. That was very interesting. So this action is done, and do we need to approve it or do anything to?
No, it's going to go to the board for further discussion, any questions, and then it'll be open for the next month for the public to take a look at. If they have any questions, concerns, that they can bring to the board in August and ask those questions.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Oh, I'm sorry, one last thing. 6 months or a year ago, there was a lot of news in the newspapers about various military facilities having some type of a PBA or PBS or a
Right.
something.
PFAS.
PFAS, polyfluoro,
Yeah, that's okay. No, I'm
I
not
can't
trying to
remember.
test your memory.
aromatic.
But we have at some time tested for those and found out we're good.
Correct.
Yes.
The way they were not detected in our water, yes.
Yeah, okay.
We were required to test all the wells that were closest to the base, so all the wells except the ones in the southwest. And yeah, it was not detected.
Did they detect any on the base, in the base wells?
That I don't know.
Okay.
7 wells had detections out of 11 detect. And I'm not sure I don't know that those were drinking water wells. I think they
may not.
indicate, what I saw was monitoring wells.
Yeah,
So,
their drinking water wells are far away from
Oh, yeah.
the base.
I would assume they were looking at monitoring wells around the airfields and that kind of thing, because that's where they were dumping all the old gas and fuel and,
That chemical they use for fire retardant has
yeah,
has some of it in there as
all of
well.
that, yeah.
There was also one detection at the Ridgecrest Inyo Kern landfill.
Oh, okay.
So something to just be aware of.
Interesting. Okay, well, thank you, Renee. Good report. Yeah, sorry about that. Item number 7, future agenda items. Hearing and seeing none,
None here.
we'll move on to number 8, the much awaited for adjournment at 2:30.